Hello and welcome to Granada Reports, live with the latest across the northwest.
Hello, thanks for joining us on the programme this evening.
Man City footballer Benjamin Mendy accused of being a predator who used his wealth and status to rape young women were live in Chester for the start of his trial.
Just hours after the carnival, a young man shot dead in Moss Side. Police appeal for help with their inquiry.
If you have any questions during your visit, just ask me.
Going up in the world, 6-year-old Charlie loves Blackpool Tower so much he's now greeting every single visitor who takes a trip to the top.
And from hot and sunny to humid and thundery, a big change in the weather. I'll have all the details for the next few hours and days later on in the programme.
We start tonight with the trial of Manchester City footballer Benjamin Mendy, described in court as a predator who turned the pursuit of women for sex into a game.
The footballer faces 8 charges of rape, 1 of attempted rape and 1 of sexual assault. He denies all of them. Our reporter Rob Smith is at Chester Crown Court for us tonight. Rob, what has the prosecution had to say?
They say that this trial has, quote, little to do with football and is more to do, they say, with men who rape and sexually assault because they're powerful and they think that they can get away with it. The prosecution case that was opened in this courtroom today is that to Manchester City defender Benjamin Mendy, the alleged victims here were disposable things to be used for sex, thrown away, and their emotions and feelings counted for nothing. They say the same attitude was taken by his co-accused, Louis Sahar Machuri, who's 41 and from Eccles. The court told that he was Mr Mendy's friend and fixer. He would go out and find young women for the footballer, would take them to his house for parties and, jurors heard, would create situations in which they could be attacked. The allegations centre on what was described in court as Mr Mendy's mansion in Cheshire, also on a number of other addresses in Manchester and Sheffield connected to Mr Sahar Machuri. The charges span a number of years and the prosecution say the 13 women involved were, quote, vulnerable, scared and isolated. Some were drunk, some had had their mobile phones taken off of them, some, the jury were told, were asleep and woke to find themselves being raped. The prosecution say that once those women went across the gates of that mansion or they went in the doors of any of the other properties involved, both men considered them to be available for sex. The court was shown a video tour from inside Mr Mendy's house, taken on a police body cam. It was a tour through the rooms and it included footage of a special lock that is on some of the rooms there. Now that lock, the jury was told, is designed to create a panic room in the event of a burglary. It can't be opened from the outside, can only be opened from the inside, and only then if you know how to turn the handles in a specific way. The court was told that some of the women in this case believed that they were locked in. 3 words were repeated by the prosecution today. No means no. They said you don't lose that right because you go to a bar. You don't lose that because you dress for a night out. You don't lose it because you go to a footballer's house for a party. They said these 2 men just would not take no for an answer. Their defence, by contrast, is that many of these sexual encounters were consensual. Some of the women participated, quote, enthusiastically. Only in a limited number do they say that nothing happened at all. Benjamin Mendy denies 8 counts of rape, 1 count of attempted rape, 1 count of sexual assault. Louis Sahar Machuri denies 8 rapes and 4 sexual assaults. The jury will hear from their first witness tomorrow.
OK, Rob, many thanks indeed.
Well, next tonight, a 20-year-old man's been shot dead in Moss Side. It happened last night after thousands had gathered for street parties following the Manchester Caribbean Carnival.
Today, peace activist Irin Mabel joined the police at the scene, urging anyone with information to come forward. Anna Yosef reports.
Running scared from the sound of gunshots. The crowd had been enjoying the last night of Manchester's Caribbean Carnival, but in a split second, a young man lies bleeding to death in the roadside. The scene off Princess Road in Moss Side is now flooded with police and forensic officers. The 20-year-old victim hasn't yet been named. This is a massive police operation and we've seen teams of forensic officers sifting through the piles of rubbish looking for evidence. What we do know is there was a huge street party in this area after the carnival ended. Lots of the people I spoke to today just didn't want to appear on camera, but I did speak to one eyewitness who told me that just before midnight he heard gunshots and then saw the crowd part and scatter. It was the Carnival's 50th anniversary with more than 40,000 people attending the event in nearby Alexandra Park. This local left just before the shooting started, sensing the party atmosphere was about to turn sour.
The police lock off the main set over there, so I thought it was time to get off, and there was a bit of tension, I would say. You know, I mean, you could see it. So you can't really say what's going to happen, but if you see loads of kids hanging about, then there's bound to be problems, aren't there?
Peace activist Arima Bell's urging people to come forward with information.
I've often said the streets talk, and I'm sure the streets will soon start talking as to exactly what happened here. But that takes time, because we've got to be able to reassure people that whatever you've seen or heard, you can report it, because you just might have that small bit of information that enables the police to actually crack this.
We know there had to be witnesses to this offence as people made their way home from the Moss Side Carnival. This investigation is in the early stages, but we're committed to identifying the person or persons who committed this horrendous act of violence and bring them to justice.
Another young life lost on the streets of Manchester. Anna Yosef, ITV News, Moss Side.
Well, next, and the sister of Ryan Giggs' ex-partner has told a court that the former Manchester United player threatened to headbutt her after he allegedly assaulted her older sister.
Emma Greville has been giving evidence in the domestic abuse trial. Today she described pulling Ryan Giggs off her sister after they'd got into a physical fight.
Ryan Giggs denies all of the charges against him. Let's cross live now to our correspondent Elaine Wilcox. Elaine.
Well, speaking from behind a screen, Emma Greville describes the moment she claims Ryan Giggs headbutted her sister and then told her, "I'll headbutt you next." She said her sister was planning to leave the former Man United star when he left to join the Wales squad, but they'd argued on a night out after she'd accused him of a string of affairs, and she'd texted her sister to say, "Pack up my things, we're leaving straight away tonight." She said when Ryan Giggs arrived home, he was angry and accused Kate of taking his phone. She said there was a scuffle, and at that point she saw Ryan Giggs lying on top of her sister. She said she tried to pull him off her, and at that point, he elbowed her in the jaw with force. She said after that, Ryan Giggs headbutted her sister straight in the face.
And she has been cross-examined by the defence. So what have they had to say, Elaine?
Well, the defence then asked her, did your sister have a plan of attack on Ryan Giggs? No, she said. The barrister also said, you said you were scared of him, he threatened to headbutt you, but you didn't look scared of him in a video shown to the jury. The court was then heard from a neighbour of Ryan Giggs, Linda Chung. Now, she told the court Ryan Giggs had come knocking on her door looking distressed and said that she needed the police to call the police because his girlfriend wouldn't leave the property. And she said she'd accused him of seeing other women. She said that she'd also seen a video of Kate and Emma. She'd taken that video as they were running around the garden after Ryan Giggs' arrest, and she said they were in hijinks. The trial continues.
OK, Elaine, thank you.
Moving on to more news tonight. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex are visiting Manchester next month. Harry and Meghan will be attending charity events they describe as close to their hearts. On the 5th of September, they'll visit the One Young World Summit in Manchester.
And if you take a walk around Liverpool, you might just see a series of new sculptures dotted around. A trail of 5 large globes have been installed in the city centre, with others popping up across Merseyside. The World Reimagined aims to educate people about the impact of the slave trade.
I'm glad it is getting put on display because it can educate people, and even younger people can learn about things they might not in school.
I think they should take racism away too.
It's all of our shared history, all of our legacy, and I think that more we understand it and we can respect it, we can kind of have that mutual agreement and those courageous conversations.
So be sure to look out for them. Now, only a few weeks ago, you might remember we were saying happy 100th birthday to the much respected Normandy War veteran Ernest Morris. Well, today there was no shortage of tributes as his funeral took place in Cheshire.
Yeah, Ernest's family were desperately trying to secure France's highest order of merit, the Légion d'honneur, for him before his big birthday. Sadly, it wasn't to be.
But it has now been awarded posthumously, as Victoria Grimes reports.
The battles Ernest fought were long ago.
but his sacrifices will never be forgotten. His regimental descendants there to honour one of their own. And inside a special presentation, France's highest order of merit, the Légion d'honneur, awarded for his role in helping liberate France in World War II. It was accepted today by his only son, Alvin.
The first thing he would have said is that he is accepting these awards on behalf of all his comrades in the war who fell.
And his family had applied for the honour more than a year ago, hoping it would arrive in time for his 100th birthday in June, a milestone he celebrated in his typically understated style.
Just one day someone say, "Oh, you're 100 next week." Oh, am I?
Ernest passed away just days after this interview.
They posted it on the 28th of July, and sadly my father had died on the 22nd of July, so he never knew that we'd achieved what he wanted and what all the family, and I'm sure his Warwickshire Regiment, wanted.
Ernest may have been a century old, but his memories of war like yesterday.
There was this mighty bang, and I didn't know what would happen.
And today, some of those memories were read by Major John Urquhart.
In the cellar of a house, the owner told us of an unexploded bomb.
Where all the ladies and children are. Can you do anything?
Taking off my kit, I bent down and picked up the shell like a little baby.
And I picked it up and put it on my arms. I went in the back garden. My mum said, "Do it." And I did it.
There were two battalions in Normandy, the 2nd Battalion and the 1st 7th, and we think he was the last survivor of both battalions. He was the last man of the war. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
I am very proud. I shall never forget him. That medal will be a constant reminder.
Victoria Grimes, ITV News, Cheshire.
We will remember them. Well, next, today marks 75 years since the partition of India. After hundreds of years of British rule, India was to become an independent country and the nation of Pakistan would be created.
The hastily planned partition triggered one of the greatest catastrophes of the 20th century. Up to 18 million people were displaced, 2 million people were killed.
Nusrat Ahmed's father watched it unfold and has told us his story.
My name's Nusrat Ahmed and I'm the curator here at Manchester Museum. My dad came to the UK in 1960. The partition was the largest mass migration in history. It displaced over millions of people, 18 million people. It must have been traumatic for him to then not be able to talk to his children about, to leave possessions, to leave a sense of your identity, to leave people that you lived alongside with comfortably before the partition. It must have been horrendous. Pakistan and India's independence are on separate days, and I wouldn't say it's celebrating, I'd say it's commemorating. We have to remember the atrocities and all of the hardship that people had to go through. I think the pictures that really strike me are how many people pictures captured and how very much it was, you can tell it was without choice. I had no idea partition happened. I didn't read about it in school books, in history lessons, and my parents were unable to tell me about it. Not having those conversations earlier has had impact because I didn't know the history. I didn't know the reason for why certain things happened. South Asian history is Britain's history. It's the reason for why Britain rule was in South Asia for so many years. It's the reason why we have the cotton industry here. It's the reason why we have South Asian people. It's the reason why we have the cultures and traditions and food and dress. It's all interlinked, and knowing how that started and where it stemmed from is really important. We want to tell the South Asian story through a South Asian lens. So for me, it's been a really personal project. It's been hard at times, it's been difficult. It's been difficult for some of the co-curators to tell and retell those stories. And if my father was here, what he'd say is that this South Asia Gallery is what should have happened many, many years ago. For me, the biggest thing is that we open up those conversations and those debates.
Yeah, powerful, compelling, and so sad to think that so many people lost their lives and lost their homes in that time as well. OK, Mike is here now with some sport and some very sad news from the footballing world, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. An inspirational figure has passed away who I think his story touched the lives of everybody that heard it. It's just with great sadness tonight we have to bring you the news that the former footballer Len John-Rose has died. Len was 52 and was diagnosed with motor neuron disease in 2017. During his playing days with Bury, Burnley and Blackburn, he was a hero to thousands, but won the hearts of many, many more during the last 5 years as he fought to raise awareness of MND. Jennifer Buck looks back at his life.
A powerful footballer with a powerful message. Len John-Rose did not shy away from a challenge, and after his diagnosis of motor neurone disease in March 2017, he turned his full attention to raising money and awareness of MND. We spoke to him after his diagnosis.
Physically, things are getting worse. Legs are starting to decide not to work properly and arms ache, things like that.
The 52-year-old had always been a fan's favourite during his days at Blackburn, Bury and Burnley, but it will be his actions off the pitch that he'll be best remembered for. In 2018, he took a leap of faith and jumped out of a plane. The skydive was the kickstart for his own foundation, the Len John-Rose Trust.
Could have stayed up there forever, but it was for everyone who's living with MND, the families of anyone living with MND and supporters, and for the association. So yeah, raised a lot of funds for it with my friends and family, but it was a great buzz.
As his speech and condition deteriorated, his drive did not. The Ice Challenge raised more vital funds by asking people to put their feet in an ice bucket for 92 seconds.
It's a little bit of snippet of what it's like to wander around with no feet all day long.
Len John-Rose became a primary school teacher after he retired from football. He went on to educate and inspire many more people outside the classroom. Just 3 months ago, a football match took place to raise money for his charity. He was too unwell to attend. His death was announced on the Twitter page of his foundation. His army of football fans are heartbroken, but thoughts are with his wife and 3 children. Jennifer Buck, ITV News.
Remembering Len John-Rose, who died today. Well, next to the man who says he's ready to launch a hostile takeover bid for Manchester United. Michael Knighton, the former Carlisle owner who tried to buy United 33 years ago, says he's representing a consortium which has the funds in place to make an offer to the Glazer family. It comes after United's humiliating 4-0 defeat at Brentford on Saturday, which leaves the club bottom of the Premier League table. Mr. Knighton has been speaking to our sports correspondent, Chris Hall.
It has not got the correct ownership structure. It hasn't got the correct executive team, and it hasn't had for a long time. I believe this ownership will change this season.
Michael Knighton is already in United folklore. In 1989, he took to the Old Trafford pitch to proclaim himself the club's new owner. Now 33 years after that deal fell through, he's leading a consortium which hopes to get the backing of billionaire Sir Jim Ratcliffe to force a hostile takeover from the Glazer family.
The Glazers have been steadfast in their position. They have had so many protests against them down the years. What makes you think that this time they might budge?
They know they have very little resources to put what is wrong right unless they use only the club's resources. That's what they've been doing to service their debt. They know they've reached the end of the road.
When did you last see a league table like this?
They're a really difficult situation, clear, and we have to stick together
and take responsibility.
We'll obviously remember the failed attempt 30 years ago. The last thing Manchester United fans will want is somebody wasting their time. What can you say to reassure fans who are worried that this is all just a sideshow?
Of course, fans are concerned. And look, I'm a fan, just like they are. But this is a serious bid. We can only go public with the identity of the consortium once we know for certain at least we'll get the current owners around the table. I'm prepared to suffer the brickbats so long as we get change and proper owners into our football club. That's my job.
Well, tonight, Liverpool will hope to register their first win of the new Premier League season. They're at home to Crystal Palace. Their campaign opened with a frustrating draw away to Fulham 9 days ago, a performance that disappointed Jurgen Klopp, who wants to see a more lively start from his players.
We tried to make sure that we are ready for this game, and we were more often ready than not. And that's what we have to be again, and nothing else. Having a slow start doesn't mean you have to start slow all the time, or you will never do it again, but it's a sign. Use it as an information, change it, and go from there.
Blackburn Rovers have continued their perfect start to the new season. They are top of the Championship table after 3 games. That's after beating West Brom 2-1 at Ewood Park. Now, how about this for a goal? Brad Potts with a spectacular volley to fire Preston North End to their first win of the season. They beat Luton 1-0. Other North West winners at the weekend included Salford City, who beat Crewe Alexandra by 3-0. They are now third in League Two. Stockport County are also off the mark. The newly promoted side beat Colchester 1-0. And Tranmere Rovers also recorded their first win of the new season. They beat Gillingham 3-0 at Prenton Park. Meanwhile, these were the scenes in Oldham on Saturday afternoon as thousands of people marched in celebration at the recent takeover of Oldham Athletics. Supporters walked together to their National League match at Boundary Park alongside their new owner, Frank Rothwell, and they beat Dorking 3-2. Frank's flat cap army. The good times are back at Oldham, aren't they?
Yeah, if ever you're any doubt about how much we love football in this part of the world, another reminder.
Football fans are the best, aren't they?
I love it when you do those goals roundups. You like doing those, don't you?
I do. I just need a glass of water afterwards.
You've earned it, Mike.
Thank you, Mike. OK, well, next up, this 6-year-old boy who loves Blackpool Tower so much, he has become the voice of it.
Charlie Barrett, who is obsessed with the tower and has now recorded the message that plays as people take a lift to the top. Our correspondent Mel Barham has been talking to him.
If you have any questions during your visit, just ask me.
He's a 6-year-old boy who's really going up in the world. In fact, Charlie Barrett is becoming something of a rising star because this Blackpool Tower superfan is now the voice of the attractions lift.
Hold on tight as we blast off to a height of 380 feet in just 69 seconds, passing through.
Visitors venturing to the top of Blackpool Tower will now get to learn all they need to know through Charlie's very special voiceover, sharing facts and figures about the famous attraction on the Lancashire town seafront.
If I said he was obsessed, it'd be an understatement. He absolutely adores it. And now he just loves coming up here and looking at the structure and climbing the stairs and just learning the facts. He just adores it.
This all came about after Charlie did a project about the tower at school. He recorded his own version of the lift commentary at home, and teachers thought it was so good that they decided to send it to the bosses here.
I was absolutely blown away when I actually listened to it, because he got the music and he actually had the speech word for word, and we hadn't sent it him, so he'd memorised it, then he recorded it, and we actually weren't looking to change the speech, so we thought we're going to give this young lad an opportunity. He came in, we rewrote a script and he recorded it, and as you've seen, he's an absolute superstar.
Are you ready for our journey to the Blackpool Tower Eye?
Charlie was invited into a professional recording studio to perform his version, and his mum Wendy is as thrilled as he is.
Overwhelmed, we're blown away with it. It's amazing. It's like a dream come true for him. And to actually hear it in the lift, it's amazing.
And this might not be the pinnacle of Charlie's voiceover career, because there are plans afoot to record more. So watch this space. Mel Barham, ITV News, Blackpool.
Now, after the blue skies and sunshine of last week, a change is on the way.
Yes!
Here's James. No.
need a shower. I've been out in the rain.
The faster you go, the sooner you'll be out. You'll save water too.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Hello there, good evening. From heatwave to hail, thunder and some rather heavy showers. Those showers could be rather welcome given how little rain we've had through August so far. Could also give us a bit of a problem because we could see issues with surface water flooding. No need to tell you that it has been a little bit warmer than average through the last few days. Now, as far as what's going on, we've got a yellow warning in force for today. That extends throughout the whole of tomorrow for these thunderstorms, so you could see some locally torrential downpours, certainly frequent thunder and lightning, and it's all being driven by not one but two low pressure systems. These will be with us through tomorrow into the early part of Wednesday. Once that clears away, well, a slightly better day on Thursday before more potential rain as we head into Friday. And as far as the evening and overnight goes, we'll see some of the showers easing off a little bit during the overnight period, but still some pretty sharp ones drifting around. Don't get too caught up on where the showers appear on the chart. They could turn up anywhere. Rather humid too. We started seeing that humidity building yesterday. Enough humidity to see a little bit of mist and fog developing. That will make it uncomfortable again for sleeping, with lows of around 15 to 17. Of course, that's the end of the night. Through tomorrow then, sunny spells and showers, but obviously these showers turning out to be rather heavy, thundery. They could turn up anywhere, and as I say, you could see some torrential downpours that could lead to surface water flooding because the ground is still very dry and you tend to see this rain running off. They could turn up anywhere, as I keep saying. As far as what happens next, a few more showers around on Wednesday, but things cooling down and certainly not as thundery. Bye for now.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Yeah, you're glad the rain's coming back, aren't you?
I am so pleased it's cooled down a bit.
Yeah. It is a good thing. It has been stupid hot over the last few days.
Well, you were enjoying it more than I was.
I was.
Fed up with it,
yeah.
That's for sure.
But we do need the rain, so it is good to see.
I can't believe we're saying that.
I know.
We're going to regret it, aren't we, at some
We'll moan
point?
about anything, won't we?
We will. That's it. Good night.